5,000, 50,000, or 500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are,
Is today
call
Thursday?
now. 800-518-9301. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-518-9301. That's 800-518-9301. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
This is your host and life coach, Linnell Harris, and I want you to join me every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. for Inspirational Perspective. On Inspirational Perspective, we talk life vision, life purpose, and the show is all about helping you live the best life possible. So join me as we look at supporting you in living the life you intend to live and making your life's vision a reality. Every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 a.m. WVON.
This report is sponsored by RockAuto.com. A failed strut can turn any drive into a rough ride. When it's time for repairs, Rock Auto makes finding the right part easy. Shop name brands at lower prices and have parts shipped directly to your door. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
The views expressed on our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
Live from the Xfinity Studios, it's the station that America listens to, WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's Rufus Williams on Chicago's essential storyteller, WVON.
The views expressed on our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
The last 30 plus years. But the stupidity involved with repeatedly doing this thing and nobody else is. Rich watches Baby Shaq and Charles. Yeah. And both of them and the ball didn't touch my head. Just touch it. Don't run the clock down and take a knee and hand the ball in. Just exactly what I do, but I gotta find a way to reach you. Tell me what I gotta do to get to your house. Tell me where I gotta go and let me be with you. Tell me what I gotta say to speak to your heart. Tell me what I need to know tonight.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel.
We will not be held responsible for any accidents.
It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
The Audio Genius.
Get in on the conversation with Rufus Williams and the Morning Show at 591-1690. We are the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Thursday, the 11th of June, the year 2026. It's the Rufus Williams Show. I am Rufus Williams, and as always, thrilled, delighted, and excited to be here with you. And thank you so much for waking up with Rufus. I am in New York, and it is absolutely bananas here. Titus isn't in the studio. Today we have my main man, Matt Roush. and Annette there. Matt, you watched the game last night?
I did. I watched as much as I could before going to sleep last night.
What time did you go to at what point in the game did you go to sleep?
The Spurs were still up 20 when I went to bed.
Yeah, and I'm here. I was at the end of the third quarter. They say you shouldn't have a television in your room, but I don't know of a hotel that doesn't have a television in the room. And I don't think it keeps you awake. I think it actually helps you go to sleep. So at the end of the third quarter, looks like how they going to catch up from here. And so I went. My son was at the game. I woke up this morning to 1,000 text messages from him about what had happened. And so for the last 2 hours, I've just been watching highlights and listening to analysis of this game, which at some level was the biggest comeback ever, but it was also the biggest choke job ever.
Indeed.
Way in. Yeah, it's something.
Well, it is insane that Wemby would. People are going to forget about the 2 free throws that he missed really late in the game. People are going to forget about the layup that Josh Hart blew with 2 minutes left. There are a lot of things that people are going to forget because OG Anunoby sealed the game with that tip-in.
My goodness, what a play! I mean, he got the block on Aaron Fox before that. Got inbound to the ball and then got the final tip. He's clearly, if they stopped and called the MVP of the finals right now, there's no doubt who it would be.
I think I agree.
So we'll see if they can recover. Those are 2 games that the Spurs actually gave back to the Knicks. I mean, they were able to snatch defeat right out of the hands of victory twice. And so now they're down 3-1. And all the conversation that I'm hearing are the Knicks in 5. So you can just imagine how bananas it is in New York. And my son sent a video from where he was up in the nosebleed seats for ridiculous amounts, but it was just absolutely bananas. Unless you're a Spurs fan, then it's a whole different thing.
It's dangerous in New York if you're a Spurs fan.
It's not as dangerous as being a Red Sox fan, but yeah, I mean, they threw stuff at they threw things at Wembanyama last night when he was going back into the hotel. So New York is a whole other world here. Just bananas. Annette, we had a few storms come through last night.
Oh, definitely a few. Fast and furious indeed. I mean, when you go out this morning, and I'm going to mention in the newscast, you're going to pick up something. You're going to pick up some branches. You're going to pick up your lawn furniture, your garbage cans. You're going to pick up something because that storm was vicious. And it's just left a lot of devastation, a bunch of huge broken branches. When I left out this morning, I stepped over a ton of debris and things. I haven't heard of any injuries, which is I'm glad to hear that. A lot of people are without power, me included. So when it came through yesterday evening, everything went out, refrigerator, everything. I wasn't able to track social media like I wanted to because I was reserving the battery charges that I have on my laptop and on my cell phone. So I didn't want to use that too much. So my cell phone is my alarm clock. So I'm like, I definitely can't, just use that the way I want to. So we all pretty much sat in the dark all night long throughout the morning. I dressed in the dark. And from the point that I left out, there's still no power. Even the traffic signals were down because there's no power. ComEd is working on thousands of customers, including myself. And I think I told you guys, I told Matt, I had made a pot of gumbo. And now that's gone.
No.
So, all that seafood and all of that, the refrigerator's been down for how many hours now? So it's devastating, but we'll make it through.
So let me ask this question. Did your clothes match when you saw yourself in the light? Did you do okay with dressing this morning?
Okay, you got jokes. I'm not colorblind. I just didn't see, I can make it out. I know what color these items are. But yeah, it was hard, and to that point, it is challenging. It's a different vibe when you have no light. Everything is still, everything is quiet. It's kind of creepy and it's just weird. Even going to sleep, you talked about the television. I'm used to having devices. I got a laptop, I got a cell phone, I got a television, I got, things that I use, my iPad, and not using those items and not having that, it kind of took things a little off balance. But yeah.
Yeah, it tells you, if it didn't tell you anything else, it tells you make sure your devices are always plugged in. We were at the airport. I knew what time the storms were supposed to start. And fortunately, we were a little bit slow leaving, but happy to have gotten out before the storm started. So hearing and seeing, we got the notice as well. We don't have any power at home either. So my only saving grace in the moment is knowing that nobody's opening or closing the refrigerator or the freezer, but they're saying that it may be out until this weekend. So that's going to be really difficult for a lot of people having to deal with that.
That's devastating to hear. I do have an elderly neighbor next door to me that I do, stay in contact with, and I check on him regularly. And when I left out this morning, he actually was sitting in his car because he was running the air conditioning. And I thought that was a good idea because I was concerned about him. So I will be checking in on him, and he doesn't have a way to charge his phone. But I did tell him you can go to a McDonald's or somewhere to plug in and just to do those. So, we got to check on our neighbors. We got to make sure our pets are safe. We got to keep them hydrated because when we don't have air conditioning, they don't have air conditioning, and it's kind of rough on pets. And so we just got to be mindful of these things. And I hope we don't have to deal with the challenge of being without electricity and power that long. That's kind of traumatizing to think about. But, if we have to help each other.
Yeah, really, really important points. And thanks for sharing that, to make sure we check on others, particularly the elderly who are in our midst, make sure that they're okay. Is it supposed to be warm? It's supposed to be hot again for the next couple of days.
Yeah, I'm looking at that right now as you were saying that. So today our high is 85. I mean, that's pretty hot. And then for the remainder of the week, we stay in the low to mid 80s, and it doesn't go down into the 70s until Sunday.
Wow. Well, prayers up, and make sure you look out for everybody. Let's take a quick break. And then when we come back, we have to talk about this. I'm sure it's not there now after the storms, but we need to talk about this cross burning in Grant Park. We'll be back right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
That's the sound of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, saving you money and energy. With rebates on Energy Star appliances, so you can come back to a home full of savings. Discover more ways to save at ComEd.com/home savings. ComEd, powering lives.
Father's Day is Sunday, June 21st, and WVON invites you to honor the fathers and father figures who have made a lasting impact on your life. Whether it's your father, grandfather, uncle, mentor, coach, or another special man who helped guide your journey, we want to hear your tribute. Call 773-336-3456 and leave a heartfelt message, or download the WVON app and use the open mic feature to record your greeting. Your message may be featured on the air, so be sure to tell your family and friends to tune in, because every great story has someone who helped write it. This Father's Day, help us celebrate the men who made a difference. Call 773-336-3456 or download the WVON app and use the open mic feature to leave a message. Happy Father's Day from the Talk of Chicago, WVON.
What does it mean to fulfill the American promise? Find out at the 2026 Rainbow Push Annual Conference, June 10th through the 13th in Chicago. Join leaders and change makers from across the country, including Pete Buttigieg, Letitia James, Reverend Al Sharpton, Derek Johnson, Janae Nelson, and Lexi Underwood for powerful conversations on civil rights, economic opportunity, democracy, and building a stronger future for the next generation. Registration is free and open to the public. Visit rainbowpushconference.com to view the full schedule and reserve your spot today.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
This is Rufus Williams, and I've got something special for you. I am proud to announce that we're launching the Rufus Williams Travel Club in conjunction with Advantage International. Our first trip, we're staying in the United States and heading to one of the most stunning destinations for culture to cuisine. Join us October 8th through 12th as we explore the charm, the beauty, and the history of Charleston, South Carolina. This isn't your typical getaway. We're walking through history and standing where our stories began. From the roots of Gullah Geechee culture to the International African American Museum, from cobblestone streets to waterfront views. This is more than a trip. It's a cultural vibe. To find out more, visit WVON.com and click the Rufus Williams Travel Club banner. And keep listening for more details. The Rufus Williams Travel Club will turn curiosity into understanding, one destination at a time. We are WVON.
It's time to focus with Robert McKay. Quality conversation, protecting, preserving, and preparing our past, present, and future. Sunday evenings at 4 p.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Hello, Chicagoland. This is your main man, Tio, Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman. I'm inviting all of my friends, associates, and colleagues to tune in to WVON, the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM for the Tio, Mr. Ceasefire Hardiman Show. This show will cover all the hottest topics, including politics, reducing gun violence, and so much more, right here every Sunday morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM, WVON. Thank you.
This report is brought to you by RockAuto.com. A bent tie rod can quickly bring a drive to a halt. For parts needed to get back on the road, visit RockAuto.com. Find a wide selection of quality parts at reliably low prices, delivered right at your door. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
WVON traffic and weather now.
The inbound Ryan is filling up early this morning. You're already looking at a 25-minute trip from 95th Street to downtown. Getting to the Ryan right now along the Bishop Ford and Tuskegee Airmen Memorial. You'll move along at the posted speed. Things are pretty quiet for now along DuSable Lakeshore Drive each way. The Stevenson, though, a 40-minute trip in from I-355 to DuSable Drive. Outbound, a 40-minute trip as well. The Eisenhower, give yourself 50 there. From Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 50 traveling out. And the Kennedy, we're seeing some early morning activity. 45 minutes in from O'Hare to downtown. Getting to the airport, a slow-moving 45-minute trip. Taking a look at our weather, we saw some fast and furious storms overnight. The National Weather Service says we could see more rain later today. We're looking at a daytime high of 85, a low tonight of 63. Right now, we're at 68 at Midway. It's 68 in Altgeld Gardens and 68 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm in Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago. 1690 WVON.
If you're not out of the bed yet, then what are you waiting for? It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on 1690 WVON.
Welcome back. So, Annette, there was the burning of a cross in Grant Park at 2:30 in the afternoon. Tell us about that.
Absolutely unbelievable. It's so real. It's so real for somebody like me. But I was talking to some young people yesterday. It happened right there near Balboa and Columbus. And, that's not too far from there's a DePaul campus building over there. Of course, it's right smack dab next to Columbia College. And there's a lot of students there taking summer courses. And, they've read about these things. They've seen them in movies and that's being far removed. But to see something like that in person, in real life, it was kind of shocking. Right now, it has turned into an FBI investigation because of the possible ties to this being a hate crime. So now the FBI is involved. I also know yesterday, Father Michael Flager offered up a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest. So yeah, what happened is that, and it was a huge cross, a large cross, and a mother and daughter are credited with, providing the first video images of the cross itself, and posted it online. It went viral very, very quickly. And then the police department in their investigation was able to, off of one of their locators, their cameras set up in the area, get a vague image of this person, dark hair, dark color clothing, short sleeve tank top, white sneakers. This person, just in their physical description could have been, a light-skinned Hispanic person or a white person. We just don't know, or a light-skinned Black person. You just don't know. But it is an open and active investigation, and it's kind of a big deal because the nature of what it was, what a burning cross symbolizes, it's just racial hatred historically, violence, white supremacy, all of those things. And so when you have something at that magnitude, you have to investigate, you have to be vigilant, and you have to bring justice to this, because this kind of thing cannot be tolerated.
Annette, I was angry beyond belief when I saw that and thinking about the symbolism of it right there in the heart of Chicago, right there in the heart of Grant Park, that someone would be so audacious to do that in the middle of the afternoon. I saw the images of the person as well. And, I think about the fact that we have a Black mayor, we have a Black police chief, and someone would put in the symbol that the Klan used to intimidate over all these years, right here at this time in this place. All the things that we thought we had moved beyond have all resurfaced in ways in which we can't even imagine. I reached out to the mayor's office to see where the stance was on this, because it just seems to me that this is a point of infuriation. The mayor's statement is, like many Chicagoans across our city, we were deeply disturbed upon seeing the images which have emerged following this incident. The Chicago Police Department's investigation remains ongoing, and we are committed to ensuring that there is a full and thorough review of what occurred. Hate has no place in our city. Every Chicagoan deserves to feel safe, protected, and respected while going about their day or enjoying our public spaces. We will continue working across city government to uphold that standard and ensure Chicago remains a welcoming, inclusive, and safe place for all. That's a statement from the mayor. My comment to that, I wish it was stronger and I wish it was angrier. What is it that he should say? I don't know. But it seems to me that if there was a different mayor in the office, assume it was Rahm Emanuel, our community would be up in arms if this was there. So I think we have the same reasons to be excited and aggravated about this as well. I also reached out to my contact at the police department, who I talked to him last evening. I said, why haven't you all found this guy? You got a picture of him. And he said, well, it's 2.7 million people in the city. I said, yeah, but find this one. I mean, the reality is, you think back to any time if there was a police shooting, they find those people almost instantly. So this is a hate crime. This is clearly against a particular community. And this has to be snuffed out immediately. And it needs to be shown that this is not just said that this is unacceptable, but shown that this is unacceptable, because this is unacceptable. And we can't be intimidated by it. We can't pass it like it's nothing. I think about how any scintilla of anti-Semitism comes across, and our Jewish brethren yell out immediately, loudly, and they push hard against it. Think about Dr. Gay, who never even made it to be the president of Harvard because of whatever they felt was happening there. This, I think, requires a consistent and loud response, because if there's anything we can't be silent about, this is it. And so I said to them, I said, I'll expect a call at about 6:45 in the morning to let me know that you all found this guy. Didn't get the call, so I suspect they somehow haven't found him. But, we can't be silent to these things. We simply cannot.
Well, I agree with everything you said, Rufus, and I know all too well the will of our Chicago Police Department. And, and I go back to the Jesse Smollett situation. I talked to Matt about this yesterday. I saw the will of the Chicago Police Department. I saw when they had a shadowy figure. You couldn't even see where they were and who they were, their sizes. And they, from a shadowy figure, was able to utilize the use of hundreds of cameras, several dozen detectives. They tracked these shadowy figures to Africa and back and made an arrest and a connection in this case. And this case also had ties to, the kind of images that we saw, because Jesse Smollett said he had a noose around his neck and that somebody was wearing a MAGA hat and, those kind of white supremacy images. And so they, with the will and the technology, brought a conclusion very, very quickly in this case. And it just saddens me when I know the will of our police department. I know they're capable and able to bring a lot of cold cases to light. I think about so many missing women and that have gone missing. Our missing postal worker that we still don't know. We had images of her early on, shot from a building. Can we not trace all the cameras? Can we not connect those dots and find out what happened in that case? And she's a federal worker. So, I know the will, and I don't know if they pick and choose. I don't know how they work out, how they bring these cases to a conclusion. But now with the investigation, with the FBI involved in this, and it's being associated, not even called yet, a hate crime, we'll see.
Yep. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Superintendent, find this guy. Okay. And then tell us what else is going on in the news.
Another hot and steamy day in Chicago as temperatures climb into the 80s. Good morning. I'm Annette Flournoy, and here's what's happening. Weather tops our news. When you walk out, you're going to pick up something, some tree branches, some lawn furniture, garbage cans, after a fast and furious storm swept across the city and suburbs. And then we could see more heavy rain overnight tonight. Perry Williams has more.
Wind shattered windows at 2 downtown Chicago high-rises and toppled huge trees on the city's southwest side. These 2 residents reacted.
This is just a horrible scene, but thank God nobody's hurt.
Overall, so grateful that no one got crushed.
The roof of a condo in southwest suburban Stickney was ripped off by intense gusts, leaving at least 30 people homeless. The extreme weather also left more than 230,000 ComEd customers in the dark. I'm Perry Williams.
And as we've been discussing this morning, the Burning Cross incident in Grant Park is now part of an FBI investigation. Folks are saying it was shocking and disturbing to see in broad daylight a huge cross burning in Grant Park near Columbus and Balboa.
This was something I've only heard about in school and seen in black and white videos.
Now, a mother and daughter shot video of the burning cross. They posted it online. Historically, that cross symbolizes white supremacy, violence, and racial hatred. Police and FBI are investigating. Well, today is day 2 of the historic Rainbow Push annual conference here in Chicago, happening at Push headquarters. The 3-day conference kicked off yesterday with a youth and culture event. Doors open today at 10 a.m. Also happening today, WVON will be broadcasting live starting around noon, so keep it locked to WVON. That's a look at our news now on 1690 WVON. Traffic and weather up next. WVON News Time, 7:35.
This Juneteenth, the Obama Presidential Center opens to the world on Chicago's South Side. The ancestors are proud. We're WVON.
This June on Vaughn TV, the culture takes center stage. First, dive into the stories behind today's biggest names in music with a new original series now trending hip-hop. From the lyrical mastery of Kendrick Lamar, the fearless creativity of Doechii, to the genre-bending brilliance of Doja Cat and Tyler, the Creator. Discover how these artists are shaping music, culture, and the future of hip-hop.
Chart-topping, genre-bending, culture-defining. These are the new voices. The digital poets of a generation raised on hustle, hashtags, and heartbreak. They're not waiting for a seat at the table. They're building their own. This is more than music. This is a movement. This is hip-hop.
And for music lovers who appreciate where it all began, don't miss Echoes Across the Tracks, the history of the blues. Narrated by Morgan Freeman, this powerful documentary traces the roots of the blues from the Mississippi Delta to its worldwide impact, exploring the music that helped generations endure, inspire, and overcome.
You ever go into any club and they're playing that kind of music, it's not rock and roll, it's blues. It's blues rock or blues, whatever, it's got that backbeat on it.
From the roots of the blues to the future of hip-hop, it's all happening this June on Vaughn TV. Stream anytime on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and at Vaughn TV.
Hey, child.
This is Dr. Ansel Johnson, Clinical Director at Vision Salon Eye Care Associates. Your eyes are telling a story, but are you listening? What many people don't know, your eyes can show the very first signs of diabetes, hypertension, and glaucoma before you feel a single symptom. At Vision Salon, we used advanced imaging technologies that see every layer of the inside of the eye in great detail, catching damage years before it affects your vision, mapping your eye's blood vessels without needles. This is Oculomics. Using your eyes as a window into your whole body's health, it can be life-changing. If you or family members live with diabetes, hypertension, or glaucoma, or other chronic disease, don't wait. Call or text 708-385-0013. Again, 708-385-0013. Visit visionsalon.com today. Be well, see well, and be blessed.
Sharpton. Catch Reverend Al Sharpton online at WVON.com or on the WVON app. Just click the Al Sharpton banner. Tune in every day at 12 noon for your daily dose. And if you miss it, catch the overnight replay from midnight to 3 a.m. We're keeping it real with Al Sharpton on WVON 1690.
Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real.
Hey, it's Cleopatra Draper. Join me for the Midday Show weekdays at 9 a.m. where we'll sip and spill all the tea. Do you want it hot or cold? Either way, we're serving up the flavor of the day. Weekdays at 9 a.m. right here on the station giving you what's now and what's next. 1690 WVON.
Hey everybody, this is Kendall Moore, the Kendall Moore Show, getting you from your work week to your weekend each and every Friday night from 6 until 9 p.m. I get you from your work week to your weekend. Church, tabernacle.
Kendall Moore, radio for the next generation on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 AM, WVON.
This report is sponsored to you by Summit Racing Equipment. Rev up Father's Day gift giving at summitracing.com. You'll find unique gifts, parts, tools, accessories, and more. I give the perfect card, a Summit Racing gift card. Shop summitracing.com plus enroll in the rewards program to get more power in every purchase.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Inbound Ryan just bumped up to 30 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Getting there along the Bishop 4 now, a 17-minute trip in from I-80-94. Tuskegee Airmen Memorial still moving along at the posted speed from I-80. As you make your way along DuSable Lakeshore Drive, things are still moving well for now. It's still early for DuSable. As you make your way along the Stevenson, though, now a 45-minute trip in from I-355 to DuSable Drive, 40 traveling out. And the Eisenhower just bumped up to 55 minutes from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 50 traveling out. The Kennedy, no changes. You're still looking at 45 minutes in from O'Hare to downtown, getting to the airport, a slow-moving 45-minute trip. Taking a look at our weather, the National Weather Service says, although we saw some storms, we could see more later today, some scattered storms this afternoon. Temperatures right now in the 60s. We're headed to a daytime high of 85, a low tonight of 63. Currently, we're at 69 at O'Hare, it's 69 in South Shore, and 69 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Now back to the morning show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
I know you refuse to be held down anymore. Don't to let nothing stand in your way. I want y'all to listen to every word I say.
Welcome back. If there is nothing in life that you can count on that change is going to happen. Joining me this morning is Michelle Bonner. Michelle is the CEO of AMM Empowerment. She is a best-selling author, an executive coach, a speaker, a consultant, and a transformational leader with more than 30 years of experience in leadership development, organizational strategy, workforce culture, and professional growth. Michelle Bonner, good morning and welcome to WVON.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me.
No, it's good to have you. I mentioned change at the very top, but so often we come to a point in life, and whether it's our decision or whether it's a different decision, that careers transition. Talk to us about the whys and whens and what's about transitioning careers.
You know, transitioning careers, I mean, it can come at any time. It can be unexpected. It can be planned, but it's inevitable that we will have career transitions. And the purpose, I mean, it can be because, you know, a company has decided to reorganize, layoffs, or it could be that you have decided that you want to do something different and it's time for you to make that change. And there are so many things that go into that. But again, it's just inevitable, right? And so we just have to think about ways that we can prepare for that, but then also how we do it as well.
How do you prepare for that? And how do you know when this transition is happening in a way in which you want it to happen, or whether or not it's just opportunistic and you're still looking for whatever it is that you're looking for?
Well, you know, the ways that you can really handle it, and I'll use the example of when you're really looking to make a change, is you start taking steps. You start preparing yourself. You decide in your mind, you know, if you are doing this because there's something right now in your life or there's something happening in your organization where you feel like it's time for you to move on. And you will discover that. You'll feel it, right? You'll know in your gut. It'll depend also, how are you engaging? How are people engaging with you? And if you're not feeling like this is where you need to be, then you start preparing, you start looking, you start assessing your own skills, right? The skills that are in your inventory and how you can leverage those to be able to transition into something else.
You know, years ago, I read a book called Halftime, and it talked about how you spend the first half of your career earning money, positioning, doing whatever that is. And then the second half you spend doing what you believe is meaningful. Does that seem to be what you've seen when you've talked to people who have transitioned careers?
Yes, so much. Right now, it is just people really are looking to change into something where it's aligned with their values. You know, you're taught, you know, you go to school, you get a college degree, you get a good job, but things have changed, times have changed, and those things are no longer necessarily what are going to make you happy. But it's not even about what's going to make you happy, but it's also what's sustainable for you. But again, what is going to align with your values, your strengths, and your purpose, and understanding that. And people get more gratification when they start looking for opportunities that are aligned with what it is that they believe, what they trust about themselves, and then also what their strengths are. And so it's very important to know that, right? And to be have self awareness and your own emotional intelligence to understand where you are in your career stage of your life. Because we go through stages, you know, we do that early stage, that middle stage, and then that stage where we're like, you know what, I think I want to transition. Maybe I want to retire, but if I retire, am I going to, you know, continue to work, or I'm going to do something where I am really passionate about something and I can do it within my own time?
We find so much of that. And here I am. I studied accounting in college. I am a CPA by training, and now I'm a talk show host. So make sense of that. Many people struggle with career transitions, but how can somebody determine whether they are pursuing a new opportunity out of purpose versus simply chasing a new title or a new position?
Purpose is key in terms of really assessing, your life, assessing why you're here and how you show up in life. But then oftentimes we also show up for other people. So, for example, you said that you have, these multiple career stages that you've been in. But there's obviously a need, and you're meeting a need, and there's somebody out there who is looking forward, right, to hearing your voice in the morning. And so there's a purpose, right, and there's a place for you in the morning, and that makes somebody happy. That makes somebody feel like, you know what, I want to get up and I want to hear Rufus in the morning, and that's fulfilling a purpose. And so purpose is very key. So for me, I get gratitude from helping others develop. I get gratitude from seeing young professionals transition throughout their career. And then when they reach that pivotal point, that high point in their career, to be able to say, hey, I helped that individual, whether it's through mentoring, whether it was through, helping them develop skills or networking and connecting with other people. That's my purpose. And so when you are fulfilling your purpose, that is where you find your happy place and your place of gratitude.
Indeed, there's a level of joy that comes from being in a place and doing a thing that makes a difference to you. And I feel that certainly. I hope that people get up to hear you and I have these conversations, but I certainly feel it in the work that I do every day. We are having a wonderful conversation this morning about career transitions with Michelle Bonner. She is the CEO of AMM Empowerment. We'll have more with Michelle right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This week on Meeting the Moment, we're talking about what it takes to move from simply reacting to challenges to being truly ready for what's ahead. I'll be joined by Shannon Bennett, Executive Director of Kenwood Oakland Community Organization, Grace Araya, President and CEO of Concordia Place, and Julie Dakers, CEO of Christopher House, as we explore how organizations can build the leadership, systems, and resilience needed to navigate uncertainty and thrive through change. Join me Saturday at 12 noon for Meeting the Moment, powered by the Chicago Community Trust, right here on 1690 WVON.
Yo, fellas, when was the last time you checked in with you? We're bringing the barbershop talk to the airwaves. It's time to get real about our wellness, identity, and what it means to feel good from the inside out. The Grooming Room is back, a no-fluff radio series made for the fellas, by the fellas. We're talking health, hustle, healing, and everything in between. No filters, no judgment. Real conversations that hit home. Whether you're grinding, growing, or just trying to figure it all out, this space is for you. Listen weekly on Thursdays from June 4th to June 26th. It will be hosted by Matt McGill, Atiba Buchanan, and Rufus Williams. Only on the station that brings you what's now and what's next. 1690 WVON, the Grooming Room, where the real ones pull up.
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? During the Xfinity Summer Savings Event, now through June 15th, new customers can get our best price on gig Wi-Fi, just $50 a month for 5 years. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. Plus, add one line of Xfinity Mobile Select and you can save an average of $60 a month over Verizon and AT&T. You can even try it free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Savings based on 1 gig internet and 1 mobile select line compared to similar Verizon and AT&T plans over 5 years. After 12 months, regular rates apply to mobile select. Xfinity internet required. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable.
Your health journey doesn't require perfection, just consistency. One healthy choice today can become a healthier future tomorrow, and that's your healthy reminder.
This healthy reminder is sponsored in part by the South Suburban Chicago, Illinois chapter of The Links, Incorporated and Vantive.
Are you ready? Not just to do hair, but to build a real beauty business.
If you're a stylist, a barber, or a beauty professional, this show is for you.
I'm Nidra Williams of Solo Beauty Supplies.
I'm Dr. Lekashan, trichologist and salon owner.
Breaking down real strategy, real growth, and what it takes to win in this industry.
Tap in, lean in, and level up.
The Hair Salon Tour Show, where beauty professionals become business powerhouses. Join us Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m.
Where beauty professionals become business powerhouses. WVON 1690.
This report is sponsored by RockAuto.com. Grinding and squealing are signs it's time for new brakes. Skip the hassle of searching for the right parts and shop RockAuto.com. Find trusted name brand parts at lower prices and have them shipped directly to your door. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Inbound Ryan, heavy but moving at 30 minutes from 95th Street into downtown. Getting to the Rhino on the Bishop Ford, now a 20-minute trip from I-80-94. Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, 17 minutes in from I-80. Things are still pretty quiet for now along DuSable Lakeshore Drive. Nothing major there. If you're on the Stevenson, you're now looking at just about 44 minutes from I-355 to DuSable Drive, 40 traveling out. Still just about a 55-minute trip along the Eisenhower from Thorndale to the Burns Circle, 50 traveling out. And the Kennedy just bumped up to 50 minutes in from O'Hare to downtown. Getting to the airport, a slow-moving 45 minutes. Taking a look at our weather, we're seeing a few clouds this morning, a little muggy. The National Weather Service says more rain could be headed our way later today. Right now, temperatures are headed to a daytime high of 85. It's 69 at Midway. It's 70 in Jeffrey Manor and 70 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm Annette Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel.
We will not be held responsible for any accidents.
It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
It's mighty good to see you doing fine. And although it's been a long, long time, I still find that you're heavy on my mind.
Welcome back. We're talking with Michelle Martin Bonner. She's a best-selling author and CEO of AMM Empowerment, executive coach, speaker, consultant, and transformational leader. Michelle, you've got 6 tips for people who are considering transitioning careers. Walk us through those, if you would.
Most definitely. Some of the tips that I have are, when you're going through a transition, and depending on the role that you have, and mainly I'm dealing with leadership, lead with purpose, not just position, right? And so when you're in a career transition, it's about not only changing jobs, it's about aligning your work with your values, your strengths, and your evolving purpose. And then the second one is leveraging your transferable skills. And so what does that mean? You need to inventory your skill set. That means your leadership skills, your communication skills, your problem solving skills, your relationship building skills, and your resilience. Those are transferable no matter what industry you are in. And never underestimate what you already have and what you bring to the table, because everyone can contribute something. And then also, embrace your growth and reinvention. Sometimes you just have to reinvent yourself, right? And that requires you to be having courage, being strong, adaptable, and flexible, and willing to learn, right? You can never get too old to learn something new. And growth happens when you're willing to move beyond your comfort zone. And then also lead with authenticity and empathy. And what does that mean? Leading with heart. It means seeing people for who they are, being genuine. That means listening to them. That means creating environments where other people. I'm a firm believer that people are more engaged and they will produce and be more productive when they feel valued, when they feel supported, and they feel empowered, right, to succeed. And then also, build relationships before you need them. What does that mean? Don't just network, don't just collect names. Actually build real relationships and mentorships. And those meaningful connections will open up doors for you because it's not always what you know. And this is an old saying. It's not what you know, but who you know. And so create those opportunities, but make sure that they're genuine, right? Because you never know where an opportunity is going to come from. And then also protect your well-being, right? While you're doing this. In this process of any career transition, make sure that you are setting boundaries, right? But then also make sure, and I mentioned this earlier, you know what your own emotional intelligence is, who you are, where you stand, what you can and cannot do, your self-awareness and understanding that you can do whatever you need to do, whether it's in management or leadership or whatever role you have, without sacrificing your own personal well-being. And in these days and times, you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, and self-care is so important. And so hopefully, by doing that, you will find yourself in a place where you're able to make transitions and do it in a healthy way, especially particularly in a time where over 300,000 African-American women have lost their jobs with this administration. And so I hope someone will take some of these tips and use them and be able to transition with purpose and into their next.
So important, all the things that you've mentioned. And I want to go back and just think about transferable skills, because we do so many things. But what are some of the strengths that people underestimate when transitioning careers, about how they can communicate their value with confidence?
I think oftentimes we underestimate just really who we are, right? I mean, as we go throughout life, we acquire a lot of knowledge. And I used to be a person who, and I would say this, I don't want to be a jack of all trades, but a master of none. But what I have found is that every life experience, every work experience, whether good or bad, has given me some nugget, some knowledge that I can take and transfer that into something meaningful, a meaningful conversation, a meaningful action that can be an asset wherever I am, no matter what position I'm sitting in. So whether I'm sitting in my day job role, or, with my business, or even as an author, or even as a minister, there's something that I have gained, some knowledge, some wisdom that I can use as an asset that not only will help me, but help someone else.
That's so important to hear and so important to know. For someone who is really looking at stepping away or having a career transition, what are the first practical steps they should take to build these relationships, so to embrace this reinvention and to be able to move into action on this?
When it comes to building relationships, it is so important to be authentic, to be genuine, and then also go outside of your comfort zone. And I say this, go outside, meet people, go places you may not ordinarily go. Attend, an event, attend a meeting, visit your chamber of commerce, but begin to expand your network. And you never know who you're going to meet, and let me say this, everyone has something that is important to them. Have a meaningful conversation and listen. Listening is key in building relationships. And if you're listening to that other person and not doing all the talking, I assure you that you will take away something very valuable and important. But if you make that person feel like they're the most important person in that moment, that will make a connection for you that will probably create a lasting relationship. And those relationships are absolutely key throughout life.
Great place to leave it. Michelle Bonner, thank you so much for sharing this with us. How can people continue to connect with you and connect with the information that you're sharing?
Oh, most definitely. I love to engage. My website is aemempowerment.org. It's AMMEMPOWERMANT. Also on Instagram, my handle is AIM Empowerment. And then also through LinkedIn, it's just Michelle Martin Bonner. And would love to engage and hear from individuals in any way that I can help them in any transition that they are in. So again, thank you so much for having me on this morning.
Michelle, it's been great to have you, and thank you so much for your writing and your coaching. This is really meaningful to a lot of people in this space. In fact, I'm going to speak to someone tomorrow morning. Ryan Baker is going to join me, and he is transitioning from CBS into another job that he's really looking forward to. So it's right there in the mix. Thank you so much for being on with us this morning. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. With that, let's find out from Annette what's in the headlines and what's in Black Information News. When we come back, it's time for the Grooming Room. We'll be back right after this.
The talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 AM WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul is pushing back after border official Tom Homan threatened to increase ICE operations in the city.
We are very focused on helping communities be safe, and local law enforcement should be working with ICE to help remove criminals.
Hochul says her policies focus on public safety, while Homan argues limits on jail cooperation will lead to more immigration enforcement in neighborhoods. A federal appeals court is raising concerns over Alabama's use of nitrogen gas in executions. Judges say the method could cause intolerable suffering and ordered a lower court to consider alternatives, though they did not block a scheduled execution later this week. And Lamar Richardson is celebrating a historic win at the Tony Awards. The 33-year-old became one of the few Black lead producers to win Best Revival of a Musical for Ragtime. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app. Back to Terry McCready.
Efforts to fast-track a 3-week extension of the nation's warrantless spy powers are facing pushback from Senate Democrats.
What qualifies Bill Pulte to hold one of the most important national security positions for the United States of America? One thing, apparently, that Bill Pulte is willing to say anything or do anything that Donald Trump demands, no matter how reckless, vengeful, or unlawful Donald Trump's demand may be.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act expires tomorrow, but Democrats are rejecting an extension unless President Trump rescinds Pulte's appointment as acting director of national intelligence. Senator Mark Warner, who serves as the top Democrat on the Senate Intelligence Committee, said colleagues in his party would be willing to back a short-term extension if Principal Deputy DNI Aaron Lucas is tapped to lead the office. President Trump signing a bill to fund immigration enforcement. Speaking from the Oval Office, the president said it will give ICE and Border Patrol the resources they need to keep America safe.
For more than 100 days, congressional Democrats tried to block all funding for the Department of Homeland Security in a reprehensible attempt to throw open the borders of the United States of America.
The measure was approved in a House vote earlier this week. The measure funds ICE and Border Patrol through the end of Trump's term. It includes $38 billion for ICE and $26 billion for Border Patrol. All right. Meanwhile, U.S. Central Command launching more strikes on Iran. CENTCOM announced the strikes in a post on X yesterday. This after President Trump promised the U.S. would attack Iran very hard. He said more attacks were coming following yesterday's strikes. Trump vowing retaliation after Iran shot down a U.S. Apache helicopter over the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. launched strikes on Iranian targets in retaliation, and Iran has responded with attacks on U.S. targets in the Middle East. Allegations against Sean Diddy Combs by a former child actor. Combs is accused of sexually assaulting him at a networking event in Hollywood Hills. Back in 2007, the anonymous male accuser filing his lawsuit against Combs this week in California. The lawsuit is the latest in the legal woes for the incarcerated music mogul. Combs is currently appealing his conviction on federal charges in New York on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, and he was sentenced to more than 4 years behind bars. In the new lawsuit, Combs is accused of guiding the young actor into a back room, offering him an alcoholic drink, and then performing a sex act on him. I'm Terry McCready for the Black Information Network.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. This Father's Day at Lowe's, they have extra big deals for a very limited time, so you can get Dad the gift he's been wishing for. Get a free Select Craftsman DeWalt or Cobalt battery when you buy a Select combo kit. Valid through June 15th while supplies last. Selections vary by location.
Black women face higher risk when breast cancer is detected late. Schedule your mammogram and encourage the women you love to do the same. And that's your healthy reminder.
This healthy reminder is sponsored in part by the South Suburban Chicago, Illinois chapter of the Lynx, Incorporated and Vantive.
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? During the Xfinity Summer Savings Event, now through June 15th, new customers can get our best price on gig Wi-Fi, just $50 a month for 5 years. And get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi that finds and fixes problems before you even notice them, like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. Plus, add 1 line of Xfinity Mobile Select and you can save an average of $60 a month over Verizon and AT&T. You can even try it free for a year. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. Savings based on 1 gig internet and 1 mobile select line compared to similar Verizon and AT&T plans over 5 years. After 12 months, regular rates apply to mobile select. Xfinity internet required. Speeds vary. Use of fiber coaxial cable.
Is reviewing life insurance on your to-do list? Now's the perfect time to add it. A friend recently told me that securing life insurance sooner rather than later can help you lock in lower rates for years to come. So I bumped this up on my list and got it done. I called SelectQuote and couldn't believe how easy and affordable life insurance is. I'm 40 and got a $500,000 policy for $16 a month. My husband's also 40, and his $500,000 policy was only $18 a month. Plus, with SelectQuote's same-day coverage, there was no medical exam required, and we were covered by the time we hung up. Knowing I have this checked off my list feels amazing, but the peace of mind knowing my family is protected feels even better.
Call SelectQuote at 1-800-729-7070. That's 1-800-729-7070. Or go to SelectQuote.com to get your free quote today. That's 1-800-729-7070. Details on example rate at SelectQuote.com.
It's time to focus with Robert McKay. Quality conversation, protecting, preserving, and preparing our past, present, and future. Sunday evenings at 4 p.m. on The Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
CTA is coming to WVON. Sundays, 7 p.m., not the train. Call to action with your host, Randria. When life has you at a stop, he'll pick you up and help you find out where you're going and the best connections to get you there. Take the ride every Sunday at 7 p.m. with your host, Randria. The next stop might be yours.
This report is sponsored by RockAuto.com. A failed strut can turn any drive into a rough ride. When it's time for repairs, Rock Auto makes finding the right part easy. Shop name brands at lower prices and have parts shipped directly to your door. All the parts your car will ever need. Rock Auto.
Celebrate the freedom to be. Happy Pride Month. We are WVON.
Live from the Xfinity Studios, it's the station that America listens to. WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's Rufus Williams on Chicago's essential storyteller, WVON.
You wonder how to do it. It's just one simple rule. I'm just cool. Honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so cool. me. Hey. R-U-F-U-S. What stands there? R-U-F-U-S. Just Honey, baby, can't you see? Girl, I'm so ain't nobody bad like me. Sing it, baby. R-U-F-U-S. What's that for that? R-U-F-U-S. That felt good. The audio genius, the audio genius, the audio genius.
Welcome back. Just as we did last Thursday, we welcome you into the grooming room. It happened before. I've done this week and last week on issues being honest conversations about men and where we are. Last week, we talked about masculinity and how masculinity, toxic masculinity, how all of that fits into how we take care of ourselves. This week, the conversation is more about a focus on mental wellness and emotional health. The purpose of these is really to try and get in touch with men, and we can get in touch with ourselves. It's the grooming room because as we go into the barbershop, and if you've ever been into one, a real barbershop, all you have to do is go in and toss out an idea, sit back, and watch the conversation go, because brothers have a lot to talk about as we get groomed, as we get tightened, as we get ready to go out and face the world with our best selves. And that's really what these segments are totally about. Today, we want to talk a lot about mental health among men because we carry a lot of burdens on our own, and it creates a lot of other issues in our homes, in our lives, in our communities. So this one is really to kind of talk about how we manage through stress management, emotional regulation, resilience, and where are some of the places that we may go and find additional help, additional resources, additional support without stigma. Because what's most important is that we're good. And if we're good, then the chance for everyone else to be good is great. Joining us this morning for this conversation is Christopher LeMark. Christopher LeMark is the founder of Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health. Christopher, good morning and welcome to WVON.
Good morning, sir. How's it going?
Man, it's going better. You driving around with your sunroof open, talking to me on these things. It's going well. Talk to us about coffee, hip hop, and mental health. What is that?
Yeah, so coffee, hip hop, and mental health is something I created back in 2019. We're getting ready to celebrate 7 years of pouring into the city. That's what we do.
Chris, but let me ask you this: we're having a hard time hearing you come through clearly. And I know you're driving. Is there another device that you have, or earphones or something that could help us hear you clear?
Yeah, are you able to hear me now?
That's better.
Okay. Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health is essentially an organization where we pour into people. And what we mean by that is education. Not everybody understands what it means to be mentally and emotionally well. We've been doing this work for 7 years. So if you look at what it means to pour into people, it's giving people perspective, helping people to reframe. Uh, Most people are usually in their head. There have been told some things along the way in your childhood. You're not worthy. You're not good enough. And so imagine you've been 18, 25, 30, 40 years old, and you have never been in a space where people have taught you how to manage your emotions, or telling you that your identity is super important. Your identity is linked to if you're going to be your best self on a daily basis. And that's essentially what we do. We operate as a coffee shop to fundraise, but it's the home away from home space, the third space in the evening, after hours, that we open up those rooms for men, for women, for youth groups, and co-ed sessions. So we can all have a space to show up with no bias, no judgment, no opinion. It's a very interactive space.
What brought you into this work?
Sir, I had a very messy, messy day inside of a coffee shop back in 2018. It was a combination of all my own disappointment, the stuff I had went through, childhood drama. If you look at the logo at the bottom, it says 6453. That is my childhood address, 6453 South Hermitage. Unfortunately, I dealt with a lot of childhood abuse in that home. And fast forward in that coffee shop, being a survivor of 3 suicide attempts, I was sitting there thinking, like, should I try it again? Like, should I just try to be successful at ending my life? And I realized that in that moment, after breaking down and having that messy cry, it wasn't that I didn't want to live. It was that I was never taught how to do it. I have a 4-year-old son, and we do our very best to walk him through life. I didn't have that. I didn't have anybody walking with me. I was shuffled through group homes and shelters. So by the time I got to that coffee shop, 39 years old, I didn't own anything, didn't have anything. I didn't have my dignity. I didn't believe in myself. And even though I was confident, I was confidently navigating poverty, confidently navigating suicide ideation. I was confidently showing up at my lower self. And the reason why I say confident, because a lot of times we are confidently in the worst situations, believing this thing to be true. And I knew I needed some help. So when I went to therapy, I started to have all these messy and these encouraging sessions. And after maybe the 3rd or 4th session, I went home and I said, I want to do something. I wrote down coffee, hip hop, and therapy first. It didn't resonate. Came back to it, wrote down coffee, hip hop, and mental health. And I knew at that point, okay, I got something. And we just stepped out and started doing the work. I was an army of one, and I would just post these messages on social media saying, hey, if you want to talk about gun violence, meet me at a coffee shop. And that grew from 3 people to 10 people. And it started working and making this thing a traveling event. I think the first event we had 20 people, then it grew to a month and a half later, 133 people. And then right before COVID shut down, the place was packed. We was at Soul City Church in March of 2020, and it was packed with all races. And I'm like, yo, and people are actually paying. They're paying to come to this event to talk about their mental and emotional well-being. That is the beauty. I'm doing 2 things. When I say I pour into people, or this organization pours into people, what we're saying is we're going to teach you how to leverage a difficult time. We're going to take that messy situation, show you how beautiful it is, and then find a way to turn that beautiful mess into a beautiful message. And that is how we do it, by educating people, by showing people you're not as messed up as you think you are.
Man, thank you so much for that testimony. Need to take a quick break. We're talking with Christopher LeMark. He's the founder of Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health, talking about men's issues, talking about mental health. We'll be back more with Christopher right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
It's Gospel with Pam Morris Walton, your gospel sister, on WVON Sundays, 11 to 2 p.m. Music to help you on your journey. I'll see you there, WVON.
You're drinking that morning coffee, though. You got to come by the coffee shop.
Join Rosalind Ceasefire for the 2nd annual Gun Violence Awareness Weekend, June 13th and 14th. There's something for all ages. Basketball on Saturday and gospel music on Sunday. Let's stop the violence and promote unity in our community. For tickets, visit RosalindCeasefire.com or call 708-577-4533. That's 708-577-4533. Don't miss out on an uplifting weekend. Rosalind Ceasefire, saving our community one block at a time with boots on the ground.
This June on Vaughn TV, the culture takes center stage. First, dive into the stories behind today's biggest names in music with a new original series now trending hip-hop. From the lyrical mastery of Kendrick Lamar, the fearless creativity of Doechii, to the genre-bending brilliance of Doja Cat and Tyler, the Creator. Discover how these artists are shaping music, culture, and the future of hip-hop.
Chart-topping, genre-bending, culture-defining. These are the new voices. The digital poets of a generation raised on hustle, hashtags, and heartbreak. They're not waiting for a seat at the table. They're building their own. This is more than music. This is a movement. This is hip-hop.
And for music lovers who appreciate where it all began, don't miss Echoes Across the Tracks, the history of the blues. Narrated by Morgan Freeman, this powerful documentary traces the roots of the blues from the Mississippi Delta to its worldwide impact, exploring the music that helped generations endure, inspire, and overcome.
You ever go into any club and they're playing that kind of music? It's not rock and roll, it's blues. It's blues rock or blues whatever, it's got that backbeat on it.
From the roots of the blues to the future of hip-hop, it's all happening this June on Vaughn TV. Stream anytime on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and at Vaughn TV.
Hey, child.
This week on Meeting the Moment, we're talking about what it takes to move from simply reacting to challenges to being truly ready for what's ahead. I'll be joined by Shannon Bennett, Executive Director of Kenwood Oakland Community Organization, Grace Araya, President and CEO of Concordia Place, and Julie Dakers, CEO of Christopher House, as we explore how organizations can build the leadership, systems, and resilience needed to navigate uncertainty and thrive through change. Join me Saturday at 12 noon for Meeting the Moment, powered by the Chicago Community Trust, right here on 1690 WVON.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because no two people sleep the same. Only the Sleep Number smart bed lets you each choose your individual firmness and comfort, your Sleep Number setting. The Climate 360 smart bed is so smart, it actively cools or warms up to 13 degrees on either side for your ideal sleep temperature. The Queen Sleep Number C2 smart bed is now only $9.90. Plus, free home delivery when you add any base. Ends Monday. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Protect your money and build your wealth. Sundays at 3 p.m. Host and owners of Top and Top Insurance Agency, Clydell and Betty Top, teach you about protecting your assets, 401ks, annuities, life after retirement, the differences and benefits of life insurance, and they take questions. Their advice can enhance your financial future and your legacy. Call for a free WVON financial consultation, 773-881-8110. Tune in Sundays at 3 p.m. to protect your money and build your wealth. Powered by Top and Top Insurance Agency.
I think about this ComEd, powering lives. Here's a great savings idea. Did you know you've got the power to manage your energy? Yep, from usage alerts to energy saving programs and more. ComEd has all kinds of ideas to help you gain control over your energy saving costs. Find out more at ComEd.com/energy savings.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Now, beyond the high travel times because of overnight storms, we're looking at a lot of street closures and bus reroutes. Right now on the south side, 43rd Street is shut down in both directions between South Lake Park and Drexel. The number 43rd bus is temporarily rerouted via 43rd Lake Park, 42nd Barclay, 43rd and over, they say regular routes due to street blockage near 43rd and Oakenwald. Also, on the south side, in both directions at 86th Street, we're seeing some reroutes and new bus routes there. The number 3 King Drive, you want to look out for any signage or check your app. We're seeing some temporary reroutes in both directions via King Drive, 95th, Cottage Grove, 87th Street and King Drive. So you definitely want to check your reroutes there. And also in the South Shore neighborhood, we're seeing South Kimbark Avenue between East 74th Street and 71st Street. There's some closures and reroutes there. The northbound number 71 South Shore buses are temporarily rerouted. Read the signs. Also, check your apps. Taking a look at your weather, we're seeing some cloudy skies today. Temperatures are expected to climb near 85. The National Weather Service says we could see more storms later today. Right now it's 71 at Midway, is 71 in South Shore, and 71 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm in Illinois on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
WVON's Health Awareness Month, sponsored in part by OSF Complete Care 55 Plus.
Keep your eyes on the road and both hands on the steering wheel.
We will not be held responsible for any accidents.
It's the WVON Morning Show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
We're back this morning. It's the Grooming Room. We're talking about men's mental health. Our guest is Christopher LeMark of Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health. Christopher, that's some powerful testimony you just shared with us. I have to ask first, how are you doing?
I'm doing better today. It's been a very challenging season. I think that I try to echo the sentiment that even though I'm the guy out here pushing and promoting mental health and how can we get better mentally and emotionally, I'm not above the work. You know, I'm still trying to do my very best. I think my biggest challenge to date is I'm dealing with what is considered dad guilt. You know, as a father, I work so much, and thank God for his mom and his, you know, his grandmother and like his family overall because they're super supportive. However, I'm struggling with guilt, you know, because when you're building a company, even though we're 7 years in, uh, you know, both of these things are my baby. Obviously, my son is my number one priority. However, if I do a good job at work, I can make sure his life is okay. And so that's where I'm currently at. So I'm doing better today, but I am dealing with a tremendous amount of dad guilt.
Yeah, it's a struggle, man. And I will tell you, I think back, and my son and I have a phenomenal relationship, but just in trying to get to there, just it does become a thing. And there are
Yeah.
sacrifices that get made, but it's hard to do it when you're building the kind of thing that you do. So hang on in all of that. I think he's watching you, and as much as you can, bring him along with you. They get so
Yes,
much more out of that than anything or any place else.
absolutely. I appreciate you asking me, sir. Thank
No,
you.
it's important. We have to check in with each other. This is what this is all about. So you're doing that for so many people with what you're doing with coffee, hip hop, and mental health. Talk to us as you go through this and as you've developed and seen all these other men now dealing with this. Talk about emotional balance because that has to be important in what you're trying to do in building this business and dealing with your own issues and self.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Trying to find the best balance overall. And I think the emotional balance is something that we don't talk about enough, sir. You gotta think about it. If you're an entrepreneur, if you decide to say, "Hey, I'm gonna step out. I'm gonna build a company. I'm gonna build an organization," and then when you're working in community work, you're dealing with a bunch of strangers all the time. And it took me 7 years to realize, oh, well, maybe six. I give myself a little grace with this one. Maybe year six, it was like, take off the cape. You're not gonna please everyone. And now before every session, and I make sure to tell all my facilitators too, make sure you let people know that we're not going to meet their expectations. It's impossible. So if you walk in this room and you have expectations of coffee, hip hop, and mental health, you should check them at the door, because a lot of leaders and advocates who do community work, we're technically doing the work of aldermen. We just don't have the same support and resources that aldermen have, because we're coming into communities, we're coming into neighborhoods. And even though my coffee shop is in Lakeview on the north side, we show up in the south suburbs, we show up in the west side, the south side. We're coming into all of these different spaces, and we're trying to create preventative measures. Now, when you're dealing with that and you're dealing with people and you're hearing from people and like you're hearing these uncomfortable stories, as a leader, I have to go back and say, This is not your story. Even though you held space for them, you can't allow the projection and expectations of people, good or indifferent, to impact you, even though that's difficult most days because I'm a very empathetic person. I have to constantly talk myself down. The event is over, right? You care for them, but you can't take this home. And I think when you are in a position where you're surrounded by people who can mentor you, who can challenge you, who can pour into you, it allows you to have a good emotional balance. But I think it starts with you recognizing from an identity standpoint, this is my purpose, but that is not who I am holistically. Like, I'm not founder and CEO every day. I'm someone's brother. Clearly I'm someone's father, and I'm someone's friend, and I'm just Christopher LeMark, who just happens to do the work. The reason why it's tough for somebody to create any good mental and emotional balance because maybe the work they do is their identity, right? And so what happens when you take away the good job, when you take away the good career, when you take away that woman or man you're in a relationship with, all the things that sort of make up your identity, when all of those things are gone, you are left with, who am I? Because all of your worth and value was in the stuff that you had. And so if your life is like that, it's going to be hard to have an emotional balance because all your emotions and your value is tied to the stuff and not to self, right? And so I think we also have to reshape and reframe the self-centered thing. There is a time, well, it's okay for us to be selfish and self-centered as long as we're not hurting people or hurting ourselves. We have to be able to take moments to focus on who we are so we don't blow up emotionally, inwardly or externally.
Look, folks, we're talking with Christopher LeMark. He's dropping jewels this morning as we talk about mental health, his business, coffee, hip hop, and mental health. The jewels are being dropped. I hope you're grabbing them because there's a lot that's coming out of here. And Chris, I'll just say this. I know I'm late getting to my break, but you know, what you just shared is so critically important. And whether you're talking about men's mental health or anything else in work and life, it's important to help people with their monkeys, but you can't put their monkeys on your back. There's a point where you have to take them off and give them back to them to carry, and only carry your own and know when that is. And it becomes particularly important for those people in social work because it's hard not to own those stories when you're trying to help people through it. But the stress is relieved when you give them back their monkeys and make sure you're only carrying yours because that's a heavy enough burden all the time. Chris LeMark, we need to go to a quick break, find out what's going on in the news. We'll have more of the Grooming Room with this wonderful gentleman when we come back right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Can you feel it? The soundtrack of our lives. A Ravinia Black Music Month feature showcasing music that makes us think, love, cry, feel, act, and move. Music that reflects our stories. Can you feel it? The soundtrack of our lives.
Chubby Checker, The Twist.
Yeah, you should see my little sister. You should see my little sister. She really knows how to love. She knows how to twist. Come on and twist. Yeah, yeah. Just like that.
Ravinia, celebrating Black Music Month. Experience the transformative power of live music. Get tickets at ravinia.org.
It's D.L. Hughley.
If it weren't for the Black Panthers, American children wouldn't have free breakfast. Now, I don't know many groups that are only bad that feed children. The Klan only gave us Burning Cross. I guess you could warm your breakfast up on one.
Weekdays at 5 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Yo, fellas, when was the last time you checked in with you? We're bringing the barbershop talk to the airwaves. It's time to get real about our wellness, identity, and what it means to feel good from the inside out. The Grooming Room is back, a no-fluff radio series made for the fellas, by the fellas. We're talking health, hustle, healing, and everything in between. No filters, no judgment. Real conversations that hit home, whether you're grinding, growing, or just trying to figure it all out. This space is for you. Listen weekly on Thursdays from June 4th to June 26th. It will be hosted by Matt McGill, Atiba Buchanan, and Rufus Williams. Only on the station that brings you what's now and what's next. 1690 WVON, the Grooming Room, where the real ones pull up.
It's Matt McGill.
I'm not the heir of billions of dollars. I'm a working class brother that was teaching middle school a handful of years ago. The real struggle that I experienced, the governor and I had different upbringing. He doesn't know what it's like to open up a refrigerator, ain't no food in it. And so my motivation to make sure that a corporation keeps jobs in Chicago is so that families don't have to struggle like my family did. And so, yes, that's going to come across at times probably a little bit more provocative, because what's at stake for him is what's at stake for me. It's just not.
Weekdays at noon on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
This is your host and life coach, Linnell Harris, and I want you to join me every Sunday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. for Inspirational Perspective. On Inspirational Perspective, we talk life vision, life purpose, and the show is all about helping you live the best life possible. So join me as we look at supporting you in living the life you intend to live and making your life's vision a reality. Every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 a.m. WVON.
This report is sponsored by ComEd. With nice weather, do-it-yourselfers and ladders come out. But did you know electricity can jump from power lines? So call ComEd to have your power lines de-energized before you work near them. Call 1-800-EDISON-1. Stay smart, stay safe, stay back. ComEd, powering lives.
WVON traffic and weather now.
We swept across the area overnight, leaving down branches all over the city and a lot of power outages. Right now, we are tracking several bus reroutes along several main lines. You definitely want to check your apps to see what those reroutes are. We're also seeing some closed streets as well. But we're going to try and update these travel times for you right now. As you make your way along the Ryan, you are looking at a 30-minute trip from 95th Street into downtown. The Bishop Ford, Tuskegee Airmen Memorial, both about 20 minutes as you make your way in. Things are beginning to fill up along Sabo Lakeshore Drive. We are looking at just about an 18-minute trip from 67th Street to Jackson, Hollywood to Monroe. Give yourself 17. Along the Stevenson, a 50-minute trip in from I-355 to Sabo Drive, 45 traveling out. The Eisenhower moving along at 55 in from Thorndale to the Burn Circle. On the outbound trip, we are looking at just about a 50-minute trip there. You also and a disabled vehicle is off to the left shoulder on Mill Road.
You sitting over there doing this morning.
As you make your way along the Kennedy, though, give yourself 45 minutes still from O'Hare to downtown. Along that inbound route, we are seeing an accident is off to the right shoulder there at Addison. On the outbound side of the Kennedy, making your way to the airport, a slow-moving 45-minute trip. Taking a look at your weather, some cloudy skies this morning. Temperatures are expected to climb into the 80s today. 85 is our official high. We could even see more showers later today. That's according to the National Weather Service. Right now, temperatures are creeping up slowly. We're up to 72 at Midway. It's 72 in Washington Park and 72 degrees here at the Talk of Chicago. That's a look at traffic and weather now. I'm in Flournoy on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Yeah, but you could tell West was pissed.
Now back to the morning show with Rufus Williams on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Down with the sound the smell of the morning flower.
Welcome back to the Grooming Room. We're talking this morning with Christopher LeMark. He has now changed his background. He is at coffee, hip hop, and mental health. Chris, where are you located physically?
I am located, sir, at 1051 West Belmont, between Seminary and Belmont here in Lakeview. You can get to us right off South Lakeshore Drive, the Belmont exit. Take it right here. So we're probably anywhere between 10 to 12 minutes from downtown. If you live in the Hyde Park area, if you're taking Lakeshore, if it's no traffic, you can get to us in 20 minutes. So it's a
Well,
little
look,
a little drive, but all good.
not for me. It's a walk, so I'm going to stop in someday and say, "Hey," because you're not far from where I am. So,
Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. It'd be great to meet you in person, sir.
indeed, what hours are you open there?
Excuse me. We are open Tuesday through Sunday from 8 to 4. Uh, and I'm having a great time serving our community, literally pouring into people and pouring into these cups. And I'm telling you, if you haven't had our coffee, you should pull up because we do handcraft coffee, coffee ice cubes. Now that it's getting warm, it's time for us to bring out the lemonade and matcha ice cubes. Everything is about flavor here. We're hospitality driven, so it's about showing people love, no matter what they're ordering. Right when they walk in the door, this is a home away from home, but you got to try the coffee. One of the best cups in town.
Well, when I get back in town, I'm going to make sure to make it up there next week,
Thank you, sir.
because it's well, for a whole bunch of reasons. One, to support, and the other to really connect. How does the mental health do you have conversations in your shop as well? How does that factor into your business?
Yeah, so we're literally everything that we say we are in the branding, right? So obviously, so here's the thing for people that don't understand: coffee, hip hop, and mental health functions in three different departments, even though they all operate in tandem to work with each other to do the work that we do, right? The coffee is the coffee shop. That's how we operate and fundraise so we can operate well. And then when you think about hip hop, that's how we communicate. It's not just there from a cultural standpoint. Being a hip hop artist for all of these years, it was the first form of therapy I had, and we work with a bunch of hip hop artists, and we do hip hop programming, which means we do concerts or we use albums, hip hop albums, to break down conversations. And then mental health is our therapy program where we do host this social and emotional learning sessions here. It's Coffee, Hip Hop, and Mental Health University, where it's more educational, not clinical. So even though we work with therapists, we let people know that we are an education-based organization that focus on the lens of mental and behavioral health, right? And so from the university aspect, last night, we had a group of men here. Look, I love the fact that 80-degree weather, beautiful nights here in Chicago. You got grown men from all over the city sitting in the shop chopping it up, and we talked about pressure and depression, and we talked about how we are not looked at as human beings, but as humans doing, right? Humans doing. That's how men function every day. We protect, serve, honor, work, 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 sacrifice, sacrifice. You're much more than that. You're much more than what you can provide, right? And so it's like night school. So you operate in a daily coffee shop, but at night, men and women and young people are working through their stuff. I mean, come on. And it's the coolest thing, sir, because you have somebody from the block and a soccer mom, if you're doing a co-ed session, who would never be in a room together. There's no reason to. They're not in the same neighborhood, right? But the reason that they're together is because they're both navigating their head, their heart, you know? And that's the beauty that happens here, right? So coffee shop in the day so we can fundraise, so we can operate well. There is no operation, there is no managing any hip hop or community work or any mental health without having a successful coffee shop. And so if you're hearing this and you want to come support us, please pull up. Please follow us on Instagram and social media where you find coffee, hip hop, and mental health. And come and support the coffee shop because when you get a cup poured for you, you allow us to pour into people.
Indeed, wonderful concept. How do people know when the conversations are taking place? Is that an everyday thing, or how do people know that?
No, it's weekly. We're in the process of updating like our website so the events can reflect in real time because we usually do a lot of stuff on Instagram, but we know that people are not on Instagram, right? Or like maybe you're only on Facebook. So we try to communicate as much as we can on social media. Instagram is the place where all of the information is constantly there if you click the link in the bio. But we're going to make sure that everything that's on social media is going to be reflected on the website very soon. And so they can check it out tomorrow and they'll find all the events if they just log on to www.church HAMH.org. And that's basically C for coffee, H for hip, H for hop, A as in and, M as in mental, H as in health.org.
Sounds perfect. Let me come back. Let me come back to where we have been. Chris, when we think about things like sleep or nutrition or exercise and mental wellness, how do those things connect with what you've learned and how we get better?
Whew, still learning, right? I need to get more sleep. Sleep is really important. I was just talking to my partner about this, and we was talking about how when you don't sleep, like you can't get the toxins out your body, and your body can't reset, right? So you have to rest. Rest is really important. And I think that we get so caught up in chasing the bag. I gotta get money, I gotta do this, I gotta complete a project. But the project that's most important is you. And so if you're not sleeping, if you're not resting, if you're not eating well, you're not going to behave right. So when you think about mental health, you got to talk about behavioral health. And the reason why most people are behaving or misbehaving because they're not properly sleeping, they're not eating, right? So if you're eating fast food often, that's going to impact your mood. You got to think about when like young people, let's just say the south side of Chicago, let's just focus on that for a moment, right? They always talking about, oh, teen takeover, or they out here killing each other and they doing all these heinous crimes. It's like, well, we got to look at poverty. Poverty is violent. And the reason why poverty is violent because it puts people in extreme survivor mode, right? And so if you're under 25 or you slowly haven't had the best development because maybe you grew up in not the best conditions, well, your frontal lobe is not fully developed, which is just to make it plain here, you don't have what it takes to strategize well, right? And that's anybody, but especially young people under the age of 25. If you grew up in harsh conditions and you're not fully developed, where your frontal lobe is not fully developed, where you can be rational, where you can be strategic, you're not going to make the best decisions. And then you mix, I'm not sleeping, I'm not around the right people from a community standpoint, and I'm not eating well. If we're just putting dead food in our bodies and no life, I'm talking about like fresh vegetables, fresh fruit, which is why in the beginning of the organization, we did a lot of feeding families with fresh fruits, and we refused to give out processed products because we knew that they can easily get processed foods because those things are cheap. The problem is when you take $100 and you go into the grocery store and you got a family of 4, you're gonna do whatever you can to stretch it. So you're gonna buy all the cheap processed things because it's easy to get those things because it looks like the cupboards are filled. And while the cupboards are filled, you may not have the nutritional items in the house that would impact mood, and also it's good for your digestive system. We know what eating healthy means, right? So if people are not eating right, maybe you're not poor. Maybe you're just working all day and all you do is eat out because you're busy chasing a bag. You don't got time to go home and eat a nice meal. So you're always out. Or maybe your lifestyle, you're working in the clubs and nightlife and you just eat out. It doesn't matter how much money you got. If you're not sleeping, if you're not eating right, it's going to impact how you show up and how you behave.
Feel so much better now for having gone to sleep after the third quarter last night, catching everything
Man,
on
that was an
ESPN.
amazing game.
Look, it was something. I just went downstairs in the break to get coffee, and there's nobody. I'm in New York. There's nobody talking about anything other than the game last night. Nothing other
Man, you
than
in
that.
New York right now, man. You having a great time.
And to your earlier point, yeah, I'm gonna spend the weekend with my son. So this is kind of how things turn to work out. Look, we're talking with Chris LeMark, talking about mental health, talking about his business, coffee, hip hop, and mental health. We'll wrap this up, the Grooming Room, this week's segment, when we come back right after this.
More of the morning show with Rufus Williams coming up on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
So am I.
Heart disease remains one of the leading
Yes,
health
sir. And you ain't
concerns in
drinking
our
coffee right now.
communities.
This is a good
Eating
thing.
healthier, staying active, and managing stress can help keep your
But I'm gonna come
heart
see you next
strong.
week.
And that's your
Thank you.
healthy
Thank you. So you in New
reminder.
York? Where you at in New
This
York?
healthy reminder is sponsored in
I
part by
am
U
at
Chicago Medicine.
25th
What if you could have the most reliable fiber-powered
and
Wi-Fi?
Madison.
And
25th
get
and
this,
Madison.
what if you could keep it at the same
Great
price for
location. I
5
love New
years?
York, man.
During the
You've
Xfinity
been in New
Summer
York
Savings
for a
Event,
minute?
now through June 15th, new customers can get our
Yeah,
best
I'll be in the
price on
city just for
Wi-Fi,
today. Then we're
just
going
$50 a
upstate.
month for 5 years. And get
We'll be
online
up
in
there for the
minutes
next few
with
days.
same-day Wi-Fi. It's Wi-Fi that
Enjoy
finds
that.
and fixes
I can't
problems
wait,
before you notice
like
them.
travel with
Like
my
super
son,
intelligent
because
Wi-Fi with a
he was
6th
born
sense.
2 days before my
Plus, add
birthday.
one line of
And
Xfinity
so,
Mobile Select,
yeah,
and you
so
can save an
birthday
average
travel
of
trips are
$60 a
loading for
month over
sure.
Verizon and AT&T. You can even try
That's
it
cool.
free for a year.
Yes, sir.
Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities during the Xfinity Summer Savings Event. Get it now at
Now,
Xfinity.com.
why are you in Lakeview?
Imagine that. Restrictions
That's
apply. Requires
like the
paperless billing
second
and
question
auto-pay with
people
stored
always
bank
ask.
account. Taxes and fees extra.
So
Savings based on
I
1 gig
started
internet
on
and one mobile
51st and
select line
Calumet
compared to cellular,
first. I was
Verizon, and
working with
AT&T
Prez
plans
Q
over
from
5
Sippy
years.
Savor.
After 12 months,
He
regular
gave me
rates
my
apply
first
to mobile
100 pounds
select.
of coffee
Xfinity
beans,
internet
started a
required.
coffee shop, and
Speeds
so
vary.
much
Use
more
of
he
fiber,
did.
coaxial cable.
Tuned in to
I
your
was just trying to
favorite
get a space. I
WVON
didn't have any money.
personalities
I
on
was homeless
Facebook
year
Live?
one.
Don't just
And I
watch,
was like, I
like
gotta
it,
go
love
somewhere where I
it,
can
share
fundraise
it. Every
fast.
click
So
helps
I
us
had to
grow
go
the
to an
conversation
ecosystem where
and keep
people are
the
buying
community
coffee every
strong.
day.
So
If you know
remember,
anything about
like
our
it,
community,
love
we
it,
love tea.
share it,
We're
Chicago.
tea
This is
first,
Rufus Williams,
right?
and I've got
So,
something
and a
special.
lack of knowledge,
I am
not being in the
proud to
coffee space,
announce
I
that we're
went where I
launching the
thought I could
Rufus
sell
Williams
the most
Travel
coffee, and
Club
it
in
worked.
conjunction with Advantage
But
International.
I'm
Our
definitely in
first
the
trip,
process
we're
of
staying in the United States
building.
and heading
I
to
have a
one of the
whole
most
template
stunning
for a coffee
destinations
shop
for
on the south
culture
side. I'm
to
just waiting for the
cuisine.
right moment.
Join us October 8th
Because it
through 12th as we explore the charm,
costs.
the beauty, and the history of Charleston,
And
South
and I
Carolina.
don't want
This
to
is
rent
the
another
irresistible
location. I want to
getaway.
buy the
We're
building.
walking through
After doing
history
commercial
and
renting,
standing where our stories began.
I want to
From the
buy the
roots
building.
of Gullah Geechee
So
culture
I'm not coming
to
to the
the
south side
international
unless it's a
African
beautiful
American movement.
situation. Otherwise,
From
I would
cobblestone
rather just
streets to
buy the
waterfront
building,
views,
buy the
this
lot,
is more than a trip.
so we can
It's
have
a
more
cultural
ownership.
vibe. To find out more, You know, visit it's one of the things when I was working on the www.com. west side, I thought that we could open over there. I Keep wasn't there listening long for enough more to do it, details. but The it just Rufus seemed like there Williams needed to Travel be a Club will place for turn us to get good curiosity coffee and to into gather, understanding. One and destination really at have a time. have We are community there. WVON. It didn't and doesn't exist at this point.
Why choose a Sleep Number
You know
smart
what?
bed?
There's a
Because no
coffee
two
shop
people sleep
called
the same.
Monday
Only the
Coffee.
Sleep Number smart bed
They're
lets
on
you
the
each
west
choose your
side. They're
individual
right in the
firmness and
hood.
comfort, your
Monday
Sleep Number
Coffee,
setting.
they're
The
awesome.
Climate 360
Two
smart
young
bed.
people,
So
a young
smart,
man and young
actively
lady.
cools or warms up to
They're
13
very
degrees on either
creative,
side
very
for your
dope.
ideal sleep temperature.
I think
The
there's a
clean
place
Sleep Number
for it for
C2
sure
smart
for
bed is
more,
now
but
only
I think they're
$9.90. Plus,
definitely
free
doing
home
a great
delivery
work.
when you
It's a
add
new
any base.
development. I forget
Ends
the
Monday.
address, but you should look
Prices
them up.
higher in Alaska
Monday
Hawaii.
Coffee.
Well,
Store near
yeah,
you.
I kind of left from over there right as the pandemic started.
The movement for repair is
I was
growing
running
from
a
city halls
not-for-profit
to
over on
parliaments and around the
Pulaski and
world, from
16th,
Chicago to Cape
and I
Town,
left
from
there
Evanston
in
to the UN.
2000.
I'm Robin Rusin.
And I'm Cam Howard. Together, we're bringing you
I get
Reparations
that.
Now, where we talk power, policy, and
So you
progress,
stay in Lakeview,
local,
like you literally stay up
national,
the street.
and
I'm in
international.
Lincoln Park. I'm
about
right on
justice.
It's
Sheffield and
about repair.
right by
It's
Sheffield
about
and Ferguson.
time.
Reparations
Oh yeah, you
now,
right
because
here. Because
justice
Sheffield, I
cannot
can
wait.
throw a rock at Sheffield.
Reparations Now, Saturdays at 4 p.m. only on WVON 1690.
This report is brought to you by Capital One Bank.
Yes, I passed your place a few times going over
Capital One
to
offers no fees or minimums on checking
a
accounts.
Bittersweet, which is
Capital One
not far from
cafes
you.
are open
So,
7
Oh, I
days
love Bittersweet.
to assist your
yeah.
banking needs. What's in
I I
role
love
model
B
in terms
Suite.
of
Yeah.
lives. See
I mean, it's some pretty cool stuff over here. Lakeview is interesting though. It is. You already know.
WVON traffic and weather now.
Boy. But you know what? Like, it's been like one of the biggest learning lessons for me about what it means to work in the coffee business, but in the business of Chicago. The business of Chicago is a lot. So if you own the business in any big city like New
If
York,
you're not out of
LA,
the bed yet,
Chicago,
then what are you waiting
you
for?
can do
It's
anything.
the WVON Morning Show with
You
Rufus
can do
Williams on
anything.
1690
You need to believe in
WVON.
yourself more.
Welcome back. We're going to wrap up our segment on the Grooming Room this week, talking to this wonderful gentleman. I'm glad we had a chance to meet and look forward to connecting with you personally. Chris, as we think of Chris LeMark, coffee, hip hop, and mental health, but as we think about things that are truly actionable, as people try to deal with issues of the mind and things that may otherwise go there, talk about what it is that people can really do. What are some tips you would give to try and help maintain some balance, some sense of purpose, of self, and not recognize or not even see this as a vulnerability, but as a strength that people can build on?
So I'm going to try to make this as clear as possible. I do thank you for the time today. The one thing I want people to know first, sir, is that just because we talk about what it means to be mentally and emotionally well and to be vulnerable to every man, woman, and child listening to me, vulnerability doesn't mean you go tell everybody your business, whether that's social media, whether that's friends. If you're dating somebody and you don't feel comfortable talking to them, you might want to end that relationship. You know, if you don't feel like safe. And I think that when a person is going through, like, the biggest tip is to get around people that you trust and that they trust you, you trust them. They are not probably not the most, that word safe is subjective, right? But if you do feel good around them, you should lean on them more, and you should ask them, do you have the capacity to listen to me? Because I had a rough day at work. I had a rough day like this week, right? I've been holding in some stuff. That's the first thing. Get around quality people, like people who are going to hold your story. I'm not talking about auntie or cousin that that's going to take your stuff and send it through the family group chat, and now everybody know your business. I'm talking about get around some people that can hold. They have the capacity to hold your story, and you do the same for them. And then honestly, hey, look, if you're looking for a therapist, hey, reach out to us. Follow us on social media, Instagram. Send a message to us at community@chhamh.org. Reach out. If you're looking for a group in your neighborhood, figure out the groups that's doing the good work, or pull up to us. We'll list the schedule. But I think it's really best to get around people and don't isolate. A lot of time when people think they got to get better, they stay away from people. They isolate. They say, I'm working on myself. And while there is time to be by yourself, being by yourself is not a good place, because if you don't have a good relationship with self, that's why COVID was so tough for many people, because if you don't have a good relationship with self, now you're left with the things in your head, the things that you believe about yourself. Number one tip, do not isolate. If you are struggling internally, it's not good for you. And watch what you say out your mouth. If you don't have a job and you don't have money, then you should probably be saying, I'm going to get that job. I'm going to make this money. I'm going to be able to manage my life well. You guys start speaking opposite, because year one, I was homeless, and everything I have today, I wrote it down. I drew it out. I wrote it literally. Even look at this. Like, I literally wrote all of this down, all of it. I wrote it all. And I just showed him a visual of everything. I had to see it. If you want to get well and get better, we can tell people to go to therapy. We can tell people to go hang around community groups. We can tell people to go to church. But the biggest problem is you don't know who you are. There's an identity issue. So you got to spend time with self. And you got to tell yourself, I'm going to get better. Because just like we break our arm or we break our leg, our whole body isn't broken. It's just our leg or just our arm. You're still capable, right? And then I'll end with this: as confident as we show up in poverty, because we learn how to navigate in poverty, we learn how to navigate in heartbreak. We got to learn how to leverage these painful things and show up confidently for ourselves. So go confidently, even when you're insecure, because two things can exist. Even when you're insecure about getting that job, leverage that insecurity and still show up to that interview. Still apply. And look, if you're hungry, go ask somebody, hey, not only do you have some food, but do you have an opportunity? Hey, I'll cut some grass. Do whatever you got to do.
Chris LeMark, I love this conversation. I love having had this opportunity to meet you,
Yes,
and
sir.
I certainly appreciate all the success that you're enjoying. And I'm so happy that you were unsuccessful, that you failed in
Yes.
self-harm. I'm glad you
Yes.
failed in self-harm, because you've got so much more to give. There's so
Thank
much
you.
else. Thank you so much for being with us this morning on the Grooming Room. I look forward to seeing you up at your shop.
Yes, sir. God bless you. Go New York. You know, even though I'm rooting for Chicago, but still go New York. Let's go.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Be well, my friend. Thank you so much for being with us.
Yes, sir. Safe travels.
All right, thank you. We're going to leave it right there for today, ladies and gentlemen. So glad you all were with us. Appreciate my guests who were on, Michelle Martin Bonner and certainly Christopher LeMark, to talk about men's health. Tomorrow, we will be joined, as I mentioned, Ryan Baker is going to join us in the morning. He's off CBS and on to the next thing. So we'll talk about his transition, following up really on the conversation that we had this morning about career transitioning. And of course, if it's Friday, it's the 411 with Candace McCollum. And I've got a couple of old classmates coming on to talk about what they're doing back at Orr High School in celebration. So, Annette, as always, appreciate you for the perspective and what you bring to us every day with the information. And Matt, thanks for sitting in. Thanks for keeping all these things going. I know remotes aren't as easy as being there in the studio, but you've made this happen without fail. So we appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, as I always do, as you go through the course of the day, you will come across people who are dealing with things that you know absolutely nothing about. So please be kind, always. And with that, Annette, tell us what's in the headlines. And Matt, take us home.
Cloudy and humid and climbing into the mid 80s on this Thursday, June 11th, 2026. I'm Annette Flurnoy, and in the headlines, major cleanup is happening this morning following heavy storms that swept across the area yesterday and overnight. Several ComEd customers are without power, and several CTA buses are being rerouted because of downed tree limbs. The head of Chicago Public Schools fiercely defended the district's focus on diversity at a hearing yesterday at a public Republican-led House committee in D.C. And it's day 2 of the Rainbow Push annual conference. And starting at noon, WVON will be broadcasting live from Push headquarters. National news from the Black Information Network is next on the iHeartRadio app and 1690 AM WVON, Berwyn, Chicago. It's 9:02.
New York Governor Kathy Hochul is